Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here in Douglas County for what might be our 90th live town hall. We've done a lot of town halls, but I want to specifically thank all the moms and dads of all of these amazing athletes that are here with us tonight. Please give yourselves a big round of applause. You know, as a father of three and all three kids played and still play a lot of rec sports, that is a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of weekends that you invest in your kids. And that makes all the difference in our community because we've got great young people. And I think when you look around you, we're inviting you to dream a little bit. Tonight is our opportunity to hear from you about some very, very initial plans. But we tried to provide some renderings not only from the county with a really exciting project, but all of our amazing municipal partners to really provide a fairly immediate suite of park and recreation options that are ready to break ground this year. But we're not going to do that until we get your input. And the hope is that not only do the kids here get to play on these parks, but their kids and their grandkids and future generations long after we're gone. And this community will be known for its open space and its parks. But I want to begin by saying, you know, we started with a vision back in 2024 following a very transparent and accountable public participation process. As you know, many of you were here for our Parks Town Halls that we had right here in this room. Had those live town halls recommendations from citizen-led parks and open space volunteer boards, as well as a very robust public survey with historic levels of participation. Tonight, we want to talk a little bit about Zebulon, named after one of our most significant Western adventurers, Zebulon Pike. Zebulon and its adjacent open spaces are the answer, we hope, to what all citizens who collectively said they wanted an iconic, one-of-a-kind park and sports village where all of you could play and see yourselves. Hopefully it has botanic gardens, embedded artwork, indoor and outdoor sports recreation facilities, water amenities, and iconic facilities that can't be found anywhere. So instead of people traveling to Georgia and Texas and California and all over, and those are great places, we hope to host those tournaments here. And for this community to be able to literally generate billions of dollars back. And we have Ellie Reynolds from our Economic Development Corporation who has confirmed that number. This park will literally pay for itself. When parents from all over the country not only come here to play, but they also have to stay here. And they also spend money on food and restaurants and things of that nature. So we think it'll be pretty darn fantastic. So again, we're talking a little bit about this notion of a place for everyone, where nature comes to play and where all souls, young and old, can come to stretch, reflect, and again, the overwhelming support from the citizens for the Parks and Open Space ballot measure, which passed in 2022, providing $330 million over the next 15 years. Weaving opportunities for public-private partnership with commercial, hotels, retail, nonprofits, and government entities, while deploying the latest technologies in athletics with the best public amenities, serving all who live in Douglas County. Again, welcome to Zebulon, the journey that begins with Douglas County citizens and you all in mind. Now, tonight, before we go any further, I want to clarify a rumor. We are adding fields we're not have no plans whatsoever to remove any fields from the fairgrounds at Castle Rock. If you've heard that, that is just patently false. But with that out of the way, I would like to welcome my colleague, Commissioner Teal, and then tell you about the format for tonight's event. George?
Well, thanks so much, Abe. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. We want to hear from you. And what we want to hear from you is what you think about the project that we're presenting tonight. I was speaking with Bill Hanslick, the superstar from the Denver Nuggets from my youth, and he's still with it. He's with Gold Crown at their presentation desk, and he asked me about the due diligence that has gone into this process. And tonight, we hope to tell you about this project, Zebulon, that is really the culmination of almost a full year's of work here in the county to try to fill that niche of sports for youth here in our community. And what we could do, as Abe just said just a few minutes ago, to do something significant that puts Douglas County, Colorado on the map when it comes to youth sports around the nation. If you're joining us on the phone, please do press *3 on your telephone keypad to ask a question or tell us your feedback. For those online, please submit your question or feedback and our moderator will read it aloud. For those of you with us in the room, when it comes time and we go into the audience, please raise your hand. We will bring the microphone to you to ask your question to provide feedback. It's very important, folks. If we're not there with the microphone, the folks who are joining us on the phone or online, they can't hear your question. They can't hear what feedback you might want to have. So please wait for that microphone when the time comes. And beyond tonight's event, we want you to know there are several ways to know what's happening in your county. New this year, our board is sending a weekly update about our work. Please visit douglas.co.us to sign up for that weekly newsletter. And tonight, we're welcoming for his very first Douglas County Town Hall, our new colleague, Commissioner Kevin Van Winkle. Commissioner, please.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner Teal and Abe. It's an honor to work beside you and to be here tonight amongst so many great members of our Douglas County community. So thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules and your busy nights to come here and spend some time with us about our essential vision for the future that started really when the voters in 2022 reauthorized the sales tax specifically for parks, recreation, and open space. We're excited to show you the plans that we have so far, and it's been, like Abe said, it's been years in progress coming up with kind of a vision of where we're going as a county, and I hope that everyone got to see many of the fine displays in the back here. I know the city of Lone Tree, Highlands Ranch, Castle Rock, and Parker have displays back there, so if you haven't been able to see that yet, know that it's not just Zebulon. There is a lot happening and when it comes to parks and recreation all across our wonderful county. And I know many of, I know many of you joined us in person for the open house, and we appreciate that. And make sure, as George said, to sign up for emails. You can do that tonight just on your cell phone by visiting douglas.co.us, and it's very easy to find the sign up just on the bottom there. Now, I'd like to introduce us to our moderator to move along, Roger.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome to your first town hall. We want to and look forward to getting your questions tonight. Again, to ask a question from the phone, please press *3 on your keypad, and you will be transferred to an operator who will take down some basic information. Once the operator notes your information, you will be returned to the call and can listen to our conversation until it's your turn. And when it is your turn, I'll call your name and ask you to repeat your question for our live audience. If you are participating online and have a question, enter it into the dialog box, and I will read it aloud when the time comes. And if you're here in the room, please just raise your hand and we will bring you the microphone so everyone in the room, online, and on the phone can hear your question. Since we'd like to hear from as many people as possible, we'll ask you to limit yourself to one question and try to keep it brief so we can get to as many people as possible. So let's go back to Commissioner Layden.
Great. Thank you so much, Roger. And I'd really like to highlight and extend our gratitude to our fellow panelists. In addition to myself, Commissioner Teal and Commissioner Van Winkle, we also have Brock Smethels, the president of Sterling Ranch Development Company, a phenomenal development partner that has really come to the table with the land to be able to get this done. Luke Taylor, the distinguished Luke Taylor from KT Development. He has done developments like these all over the country. I was actually just in Kansas City on my own dime this last weekend to see Blue Hawk, which is tremendous. And it's already out of the ground and serving a community very much like this. We're going to do even better than Blue Hawk, but had a chance to see that. So welcome to Luke. And then we also have Ellie Reynolds, the CEO of the Douglas County Economic Development Corporation. I don't know, you have so many hats. I'm not sure quite how to fully introduce you, but you kind of do it all. And then, of course, Mark Holtzemer from Slammers Baseball. So we're very thankful for Mark. Listen, we're here because we listened to you, Mark, and you gave us a lot of good feedback. We had a couple of stakeholder meetings with youth sport leaders, and so many of these renderings came from the input we got from the community. So tremendous thanks on that. So we'll begin with the discussion. What is Zebulon? And I'm going to turn it over to Brock and Luke to give an overview of the project.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Layden. So the land that we're talking about today was actually a 357 acre parcel that we acquired back in 2023. It is on the east side of Sterling Ranch. Ultimately, over 1,500 acres of that area have been owned by DuPont Chemical, and they had built caustic dynamite on a different part of the property, and it's subsequently given most of it back to the county. Ultimately, that property went through 25 years of remediation and was zoned for general industrial. And ultimately, there's an elk corridor that runs through a different part of the property. And we saw an opportunity to act to preserve that Chatfield Valley and make it pristine. And we acquired that property on our own dime using private dollars back in 2023. Ultimately, what we're talking about tonight with the first phase of the proposed Zebulon is roughly 46 acres that would go towards this first phase that Luke will describe in more detail. And then to the Slammers point, we've been working with the Slammers to identify area where they would be able to build their own facility in addition to this. With that, I will turn it over to Luke.
Thank you, Brock. Can everyone hear me? All right. So this will be the coolest sports park in the country. I've done a bunch of these, and the plans here are amazing. So let me start with the indoor component of this. We're going to have about a 400,000 square foot building. So for those of you who don't really have a good idea of what that really means, if any of you have been up to the sports stable up in Superior, that's 186,000. So this is 2 times the size of that. Inside it, we'll have 3 full-size ice rinks along with a skill pad. We're going to have 8 to 10 basketball courts, which can also be turned into 20 volleyball courts, 30 pickleball courts. On the outside, we have it's part of the inside piece, but it's an indoor-outdoor component. There is essentially 2 soccer fields and a full-size baseball field that will be under a dome. That dome can be taken down in the spring, put up in the fall, so it's a year-round usage for the wintertime. So you're going to be able to do a lot of indoor stuff, outdoor stuff with that. We'll also have quite a bit of retail, things like restaurants, coffee shops. There'll be a pro shop. We'll have a school of some sort in there, middle school, high school type of academy deal. There will be quite a bit of ancillary space for team rooms, meeting rooms, video rooms, locker rooms. So all of the normal stuff that you would expect to find in an indoor type facility there. As far as the outside as part of phase 1, we have 4 dedicated baseball fields. There'll be a fully synthetic turf, so you'll be able to play on them when it rains, right? So that's one of the big downsides here in Colorado, especially in the spring. And then we're going to have 2 full-size soccer fields, which also could be used for lacrosse or football, or really any sport that uses a rectangular type of field. So phase 1 is about, like as Brock said, is about 47 acres. It's when you're looking at this kind of, well, we don't have the right map up there, but the site plan, there was kind of a red line that went around that first section there. And so that's the initial vision here. Future phases will be built in the areas around it. So
There you go. Now you got it.
all right, now I got it. So you guys could see that kind of red line there. That's what phase 1 is. So everything on the outside of that would be future phases. So that will be partnerships with different groups like Slammers, where they want to have some more fields. They want their own kind of dedicated building in there. So that's where some of that piece will go in there. So we'll have a bunch of partners from the community that will be adding on to what we're doing kind of as this phase 1. I've also talked to a group about indoor soccer and box lacrosse. There's been a group that is interested in putting a junior hockey team in here. So they sell tickets and play here. So there's been a ton of interest in. Sorry, maybe put a little closer here. So there's been a ton of interest in terms of the usage of this facility. And what we've kind of envisioned here as part of this phase 1, I think checks most of the boxes, and it's what it'll take to kind of get everyone interested in doing phase 2 and phase 3.
Great. Thanks so much, Luke. George, would you like to take questions?
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Abe. So once again, hey, thanks everybody for being here tonight. So now that we've met our panel and heard an overview of the project, What questions do you all have? I'm not seeing Roger prompting from the back. So do we have any questions here in the hearing room? We got a couple. Luke, may I borrow that microphone, please? Thanks, sir. All right, let's go right back here. Blue sweatshirt. Is there anybody in here in a blue sweatshirt? Ma'am, come on up. Go ahead and tell us your name and tell us where you're from, and then go ahead and let us know any questions you have for the panel.
Fantastic. I am Christine Pomay. I'm from Parker, Colorado. Proud Slammers mom. Woo! My question is around the timeline. Can you talk a little bit about the timeline of the phases?
Luke, why don't you go ahead? Yeah, you're the developer.
Well, the marching orders I've been given have been, we need to get through entitlements fairly rapidly so that we can be moving dirt this fall. When we move dirt this fall, there'll be some significant vertical construction done next year with an opening, say, first quarter of 27. So 2 years from now, you guys will be playing there, and maybe a little bit earlier for some of the features.
Okay, thanks so much, Luke. I have a young gentleman here with a question. Tell us your name, tell us where you're from, and then ask your question, buddy.
So I'm Costner Copeland, and I'm from Castle Rock, Colorado. And I play for the Raptors, so I was wondering if we would play here, or if it's just the Slammers.
Yeah, great question. I think, well, tell you what, I'll take that first part. We do have future plans for the Slammers to have their own area. But right now, what you see right there designed, it is designed for Raptors. Do you guys ever play the Warriors over in Highlands Ranch? They're going to be able to play here too. And then, of course, I put a challenge to Mark Holtzmer to go ahead and see if he can rally the Raptors community to come on board with partnership. Mark, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what we had talked about and explain to the audience kind of the role that the Slammers could play.
Thanks, Commissioner Teal. So to answer his question, absolutely, we want everybody at this facility. We certainly, want to have as many teams from the Douglas County area, but surrounding areas as well coming to play. Of course, we want to have our teams out there, but this isn't just our facility to play at. I mean, we don't want to just play ourselves every weekend. We want to have competition from all over the area. We want teams coming in from out of state. We feel like this complex, the way it's designed, and with the location being in Colorado, we think that it's going to bring a lot of people to the state. We're going to get outside teams, great competition. So we would love to have all the support from the Raptors. I see the Lightning guys here. I think this could be a great complex for all our teams to play at. I do want to say this. I appreciate all our parents and kids coming out tonight. It is the best I've ever seen you guys behave. Wow. It's very surprising. Usually in the facility, you guys are going crazy. So I appreciate you guys holding it together. Don't screw it up. All right, let's go. So thank you guys.
There's a pizza place right next door. Maybe if you guys behave well, I don't want to commit any parents, but that might be fun.
I wanted to add to, don't go tempting baseball players with pizza there.
Oh, I know. You and me both. I might be there too. I wanted to add that, for us, location is really significant, and we're a both and. So obviously this is an unincorporated Douglas County off of 85 where there's going to be a lot of development. We put $100 million into expanding 85. That's about done. We have water and wastewater infrastructure coming in. That's about done, taking care of the LeVere's community with the radium. But our idea is that this is within 15 to 20 minutes of just about everybody, or maybe slightly more, maybe 30 minutes if you're deep on the other side. But we're also partnering with all the municipalities. So we contributed, or are having the conversation about contributing to Lone Tree, to Parker, and Castle Rock on their independent recreation projects, which will also have baseball and basketball and football and all of these great youth sports. So the notion would be, as we all come out of the ground, we'll have this menu of options for these national sports tournaments to go to use all of these fields. And we'll have people everywhere in Parker, Castle Rock, Lone Tree, and in unincorporated. And it really will put Douglas County on the map. So you should have great new fields within minutes of you, regardless of where you're from. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right, got another question, ma'am. Please tell us your name. Tell us where you're from.
My name's Jamie Luther. I am a homeowner in Highlands Ranch, a business owner in Highlands Ranch. But the reason I'm here tonight is because my husband and I own 18.7 acres in Roxborough. And we, along with about 15 other landowners in Roxborough, have been trying to get water to our land for years, many years. We've been dealing with Dominion Water. We've been dealing, after they would only sell to Sterling Ranch Cab, then we've been working with Sterling Ranch Cab, who is trying to figure out how to sell to outside entities. So I guess my concern here, which because water is a huge concern for our county, what you're proposing would use more water in a year than what we were proposing would use in a lifetime. So I'm concerned where you're getting your water from, how these water rights became available, because we've been really struggling for years. So I'm just wondering how the water, where it came from, and how anyone else might be able to tap into it.
Okay, that's a really good question. Now, Brock, that's something you and I talked about very early in the process. Can you talk about the water use that we anticipate for Zebulon, please?
Sure. As Luke mentioned, the vast majority of the facilities are all artificial turf. So they actually don't use a lot of water. As Abe alluded to, the county supported a regional project to solve water and wastewater for the community of Leviers. The infrastructure that will be built to serve Leviers also serves this development. So it was actually part of a larger regional project that the county commissioners have already approved. Certainly, the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board and Dominion continue to look at ways to provide water if available to others, but this is really part of a larger regional project.
And I'm going to pause on that too. So that's a really important question. We don't mess around with water in the West. That is why about a year and a half ago, we formed the Douglas County Water Commission, made up of experts to make sure that we have a 2050 comprehensive water plan for our community. And again, this is because it's artificial turf. We think that'll reduce the demands for water, but we are very, very sensitive to that issue and want to make sure that we have a water plan in place to address all of those needs. Kevin?
Yeah, and also don't forget, well, I guess maybe news, but it's a tremendous.
Commissioner, can you put the mic close to your?
There was a very wise senator that formerly served Douglas County that passed a rainwater harvesting bill. And we haven't been able to get that up and running in Douglas County yet. But this actually, there are opportunities presented with Zebulon where we could work with the folks at Sterling Ranch and Dominion Water to start the first of its kind rainwater harvesting and reuse. So that water is going to be used over and over and over until its lifespan has essentially expired. So we could talk all day about water. That's probably a whole town hall that we actually should have at some point this year. But with that, I know, and for those online, I'm sure you've called in and you want to get your your questions answered. We have a couple hundred people here in the room, so that's why we haven't gone there yet. But if we could, perhaps maybe we take one from a phone call.
You bet. Let's hear from Stan. Stan, you're live. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. This is Stan Sprinkle. I'm a resident in Douglas County since 2008. Grew up in Littleton, Colorado, and played sports myself. So 13 nieces and nephews that have been through a lot of this, and I cannot give you enough kudos. The vision, what you guys are doing right here is tremendous. So thank you very much. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for our kids and grandkids to come. My question is around polo fields. So I've heard, and I didn't see it in the rendering here, but I've heard that we're going to spend taxpayer dollars on polo fields. I'm all in for youth sports. Thousands of kids here in Douglas County that are, playing every day and every weekend, and bringing people in from out of state. Might be 50 residents in all of Douglas County that play polo. I don't see it as a good use of taxpayer funds, and I just want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Yeah, I'll take that, Stan, and I'm sure my colleagues will want to ring in too. You'll notice we don't have any polo fields on our renderings. We decided to move that to baseball. football, soccer, and use that land a little bit more wisely. And part of that was as a result of the stakeholder conversations we had with all of the field operators and rec sports leaders and the polo folks. And we did hear from the Denver Polo Club, which is just south of here. They do have 3 fields already. And part of the concern, I mean, we did, if anybody went to the BMW Golf Championship this last year, it was pretty cool to have a really significant national tournament right here back in Castle Pines. But the notion is to partner again with BMW and make sure that the BMW Polo Classic is here in Douglas County. We have met with them. They want to do it. But those fields that could be used would be the Denver Polo Club fields. And that way we can reserve this space for you all. So we heard you, made the change. I just want to mention, we're not going to accept any credit because these are taxpayer dollars. You should be thanking yourselves. We're just honored to serve. We are public servants. You're our boss, not the other way around. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to dream alongside you. What's next?
All right, let's go and hear from Leslie next. Leslie, go ahead.
Hi, this is Leslie Clemenson. I live on the east side of Sterling Ranch, and as a nearby neighbor, I just wanted to know about what studies were done regarding wildlife, noise, light, and traffic as you put things into place. It's a 2-lane highway that already has a lot of traffic, not only with just passenger vehicles, but lots of cement trucks, and then the asphalt plant that was approved. So I was just wondering what your on those things were done.
Thank you so much for that question. Brock, you want to take that?
Sure. Can you hear me? Yeah. So as Luke alluded to, if the board elects to move forward with this project, we'll do a traffic study. We will do a wildlife study, and we'll also be doing a lighting study as part of the quote entitlement process that Luke alluded to. So that will help inform the final layout and how the site actually ends up being constructed. Now on the transportation, I might give it back to the county commissioners, but there are in their long-term transportation plans additional funds to be spent to expand the transportation infrastructure in our area. So I will turn it back to them.
Yeah, and just to carry on with that one, I mean, we know that we have the elk wildlife corridor in vicinity. There's no plans to change that. We're going to keep that in place. The wildlife here in Douglas County, I mean, I think we'll all agree is very important, and we don't want to do anything that's going to alter those migration patterns or get us in trouble in that way.
Yeah, this does include open space and a wildlife corridor, which I think is really significant. And there was a lot of thought into placing it away from the residential community. I mean, Burns Park is obviously closer in. That's more botanic gardens and passive recreation. So I think that's a really good question. Do we have a young person with a question over here? Right here. Yes, sir. What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Cannon Christensen, and I'm from Greenwood Village. My question is, how long will it take to build all of this?
Get it
Luke,
going,
how long is it gonna
commissioners.
take, man?
Jeez, TikTok. We're not getting any younger. That's a good question. Yeah, how long, guys?
2 years for phase 1, and probably the other phases would be depending on our private partners and who wants to come in here. It could be done right after that, or there could be a little bit of a pause. But I think you'll see this development really shape up. Within 2 years, you'll have the base here, and then the extra piece would be over the next 3 or 4.
Yeah, I wonder if you know any good donors that'll help us accelerate this project. You live in Greenwood Village, right? All right. Yes, sir.
My name's Braxton Dack, and I'm from Parker, Colorado. And my question is, so if the Slammers facility gets moved, is it going to be the south one, or are we just building a new one?
Great question.
To answer your question, we would probably keep the current location that's at South and probably transition that into softball, and then have a whole new facility out at Zebulon for baseball, and build from there. That makes sense. Cannon, great question.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, do I hold it? Or
I can hold it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mary Wilson from Castle Rock, Colorado. Some of you may know me from my Metro District extravagant ventures that I'm going through. My question is regarding a sentence that was in your Douglas County description of this, which is additional funding will come from future phases from tax increment financing and development tool that leverages an increasing property tax revenue resulting from the new development. And I was wondering if you could expand on that. On first of all, what is our price tag on this? Is really what I'm getting down to, whether it's phase one or the future phases that you're looking for. And where is all this money coming from beyond what was passed earlier?
That's a really good. Thank you for that question, because we're always minding every single penny, and that's one of the reasons we have Ellie Reynolds from our Douglas County Economic Development Corporation. What we heard from her and others who are experts in economic development is that this will actually pay for itself, and it'll generate about $1 billion in revenue back to the county. But Ellie, do you have more thoughts for us on that?
I think a piece to what you were talking about was the fact that the county just passed a county revitalization authority, which would allow for an area like this that might have been blighted or have some environmental issues to be remediated with a tax increment financing tool. And so that will be a piece of the financing, because it's taking land that otherwise couldn't be used and turning it into this great facility that we now can. As well as, the seeded dollars from the parks ballot initiative that's already been passed, and then the private increment funding that we've also talked about. And then I would say, as far as, the commissioner's kind of comments on this paying for itself, we found that in just construction alone of the first phase, we'll be at $500 million, and we'll be able to continuously grow that annually. And that's not including the wraparound commercial that we hope to bring to the area.
Ma'am, I apologize with it, but okay. And if you do have follow-up questions, you can email the board at bocc@douglas.co.us and get your information or your questions in if you want more. Okay. Yes, sir.
So I may be a victim of this patently false rumor, but I would love to hear more about where the Raptors get to play. I know we were invited, but I also don't want our home field to be 25 minutes away.
That's fair. Thank you for that. Who would like to take that?
I totally understand where the Raptors are coming from. I mean, I don't know how many of you in the room might remember the days of the DC Dolphins. That was the AYL team, an AYL club here in Castle Rock. The plan to move fields out of the fairgrounds, it has not progressed. That very much is what started this conversation last May. We're still looking at that fairgrounds master plan, but there is no plan beyond eliminating that one baseball field to do anything else. Furthermore, guys, I got to tell you, some of you know that I served for 6.5 years on the Castle Rock Council. Guys, when it comes to more ball fields in Castle Rock, there's only so much we can do, because we've got to think about projects like this around the county. So guys, if you're really concerned about that, you got to join my colleagues that are just right down the street at the Castle Rock Town Hall, and you've got to express your opinion, because I still talk to members of the Castle Rock Council, and they don't know the priority that the Raptors have for more ball fields here in Castle Rock. Now, here's the good news. I was talking to, Bill Hanslick, Ray Baker, back there with the with Gold Crown at their display. They're actually working with the town of Castle Rock to set up a ball field complex to be their next door neighbor. I think those are plans right now. I don't think that's something that you could count on booking a time to play on yet, but that's the direction I really feel that the Raptors need to take their efforts. And by the way, let me know if I can help to push that with the town of Castle Rock. And I'll put it to my colleagues right now. We get an opportunity to help out the town of Castle Rock. I really think we should consider that, to build those ball fields out. So yeah, are we still talking about taking one ball field out of the fairgrounds? Yes, we are. But on the other hand, I would really like to have that conversation with the town of Castle Rock to build you 4 more. at the very least, as well as what you can see we're adding here in Zebulon.
Yeah, we talked about that at a couple of town halls. I want to be really clear. We made the commitment that we are never going to subtract fields. You're never, in a timeline perspective, you're never going to be in a place where you have less fields to play on. There may be a future plan to add more and then move some things around based upon our fairgrounds master plan, but you will always have at or more than you currently have now. Commissioner Teal.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start segueing into talking about the economic impact that we've just touched on. We still have about 30 minutes left. So please, if you're joining us on the phone, press *3 on your keypad to get in the queue. If you would like to participate online, you can visit douglas.co.us/town hall. Ellie, I wonder if you can walk us through the financial impact that we've seen and we're looking at associated with the Zebulon project.
Yeah, well, thank you, commissioners. And it's exciting to be here and exciting to be part of this project. We've committed to doing an economic analysis with Metro Denver EDC through an economist that will be able to tell us how much every single item of this development will produce, exactly how many ball fields will be, how much the ice rinks will be, and the commercial development around there. So that's really the important thing, is knowing that as the economic development group, we also are committed to using this as a catalyst to continue to bring private partners. So while we understand that the county is definitely willing to help us build those ball fields for you all to have that public use, we are committed to the development of the private dollars that will go around that, whether it's all of the visuals that you see here, it's hotels, it's shopping, places to eat. We want to be, to the point that you were saying, we want to be able to bring all of those tournaments in to be able to serve all the families in their needs.
Thank you, Ellie. Now, Luke, you've done a number of these across the country, but specifically here in Colorado, in Superior. Can you tell us, when you bring these kind of developments into a community, what does happen with the economic impact there?
Well, it really makes everything else work. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if someone was trying to create an economic engine for an area, they would build a mall, right? They would have a mall, you'd have the banks around it, the retail stores, restaurants, etc. Then Amazon comes along, right? All of those shopper visits turned into online purchases, or not all of them, but a good portion of them. So people started to search for what brings people. You can't play sports on, well, I guess you can play it on the internet. They do have, sports that you can do that, but for the most part, the sports on fields and ice and courts and what have you, they draw significant numbers of people out there. So, for example, our facility up in Superior brings about 2 million visitors a year, and these are live visitors. These are people that come there and they spend 3-4 hours at a time there. Kansas City, the facility I just toured with Abe on Friday. It's only been open 4 months, but we think that number is going to be a lot closer to 3 than 2 million. And what that has allowed to happen is you can put a restaurant in there, you can put grocery stores in there, you can put all of these amenities around there, and private business will pay for those amenities. And the reason why they're willing to come there is because they have a base of people that want to use it. So the trend across the country is to have some of these bigger kind of sports. They call them sports tourism. It's every city in the country is looking at trying to do something like this. Some will be successful, some won't. But it's really a big economic engine, and it generates tons of visits. And those people, when they come into town, they're spending about $1,000 a person when they come in for a tournament. So if you just do the math, you have 50 tournaments over the course of the year. It turns into a real big number, and those numbers are spent locally here.
So Luke, you talked about how this is going to be a draw to bring people in. I want to pass it then on to Brock. And Brock, can you tell us about some of the additional plans that Sterling Ranch has that may be different than what you've been doing residential, but but in terms of commercial retail development, and we can kind of see it in the lower left-hand side of the graphic that's up on the big screen.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're blessed to be in a very pristine valley. Chatfield State Park is Colorado's most visited state park. It's about 1.4 million visitors a year. We have Arrowhead Golf Course, which holds weddings all wedding season. Right now, there's currently no place for people to stay. There's no hotel, there is no hospitality. And so I think to Luke's point, we see this as an opportunity to provide a different kind of hotel experience than currently exists in the county, and to offer those services. And then in addition, as Luke was saying, one of the challenges that restaurants have in suburban locations is daytime activity. And a lot of these sports complexes are utilized during the day, during peak lunch hour, and they will allow us to accelerate the time in which we could support our own restaurants in Sterling Ranch much further ahead of when we'd be able to without this kind of a complex.
All right, well, thanks. So now I want to turn it over to Mark. Mark, you travel around the country with the Slammers, doing a lot of these tournaments. Tell us about that experience. I mean, you heard what Luke says, this kind of sports park will be that draw. You've heard about the facilities and the services on the retail side that Sterling Ranch is going to develop. Does that match with your experience when you're going around the country with the Slammers?
Yeah, I think part of the draw to this location is, we go all over the country in the summer with our high school teams, and we got to go to, I've talked to Commissioner Layden, Commissioner Teal, and Commissioner Van Winkle about, what we do and how our program's set up. And we go out of state, it's hot. It's hot in Florida in the summer. It's hot in Georgia in the summer. Not that it's not hot here, but those locations we go to, they have a focal point of a quad at least. Some places have more than a quad. And that draws college coaches and it draws outside teams, some of the top teams in the country. So our program and some of the other programs in the state are trying to get their kids committed to go play college baseball or even the next level. To do that, we have to go to where the coaches are. And unfortunately, right now in the state, there is not a complex that matches what we have to go do and play out in other locations across the country. So we think this would be an unbelievable location. We know what Colorado's like in the summer. It's beautiful. We'd much rather stay here than travel all over, the country, and hopefully get college coaches to come, to our state to see what we have to offer. We've talked to the commissioners about the Sparkler and how big of an event that is for softball in the summer and how many people from out of state come here. It would be a tremendous opportunity for us to showcase our state and all our players and all the competition we have. Part of what we're doing, just so you guys understand, we want to have places for our kids to play closer to home. How many of you guys in the stand or in the audience, as well as listening, have to travel every weekend 45 minutes to an hour to go play on the weekends? So this would be an opportunity for us to play much closer to home. I mean, I live in Highlands Ranch. I'm a Colorado native. Nothing against Commerce City or Windsor, but I'd much rather drive to Sterling Ranch to play on the weekends. So I think that this is an opportunity for not just baseball, but the basketball players, volleyball players, to have an area closer to home with a lot of younger kids. It's going to drop the drive time down. With everything that they're building from a retail standpoint, you guys all know there's younger kids here with you. You're going to go play. You're going to have to take your kids to eat. It's much nicer just to stay in one location and not have to drive all over. It would be just an amazing project. And I want to thank, once again, Commissioner Teal, Commissioner Layden, and Commissioner Van Winkle for having the vision of putting this together, and also Brock Smith Hills, with Sterling Ranch, and trying to put this together for all you guys, not just the baseball players, but all the other kids that are going to be playing out there with different sports. So I think it's going to be an amazing project.
Well, thanks, Mark. So bringing it back to the commissioners, colleagues, Abe, Kevin, I mean, does this match our vision for what we were talking about? Because we've talked about having this focus on youth sports, really based on what we heard here last May in this room. My concern was, as we've heard, what is the cost? How are we going to bring it together? Do we feel like this matches the vision of kind of that synthesis of all those things we were trying to bring together?
That's a great question, and I want to make sure we hear from Kevin as well on this. But my view is that it only matches my vision if you all see yourselves in this project, and that's why we're here. I want to thank our colleague. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for everybody on this panel really speaking into this issue and providing us some great input. Mark is on this panel because he showed up at those stakeholder meetings and really invested in providing input as to what we need. We have more baseball fields because of Mark's leadership. So thank you. You're a great leader and representative of your organization. But that's why we're here. We want to get your input. This is the beginning of the conversation, not the end. There's still time to talk about what this looks like. But I'm excited because in my mind, it's starting to look and feel like everybody in Douglas County. And that's very exciting. Kevin?
Yeah, and I think it can't be overstated enough. I mean, right now, this is a former dynamite facility, and it's not producing any tax revenue for the people of Douglas County. And a former commissioner did propose something somewhat similar in the open space of Highlands Ranch, and the community got quite furious, actually. Highlands Ranch was very upset by that proposal. And with this, we are blessed to have a partner and a community that is not just saying, okay, fine, you can put it here, but are welcoming and excited for it. And so the future of Douglas County, not just is going to be here in Sterling Ranch, but it is a fast-growing community, is a fast-growing part of Douglas County that, like Commissioner Layden said, it's about 15 minutes from everywhere, from Highlands Ranch, from Castle Rock, from Castle Pines. And it's going to connect a lot of those communities that already are growing closer and closer together. And with that, I do think we should take the opportunity to hear from not just about Zebulon, but perhaps from some of our other partners that have projects of their own. I know Highlands Ranch has some open space plans, Lone Tree. Is there someone?
Y'all in the back who took the time to be here, we would love to just invite you up and give us a quick 30-second on each of your projects. We'll have somebody from High Note, from Parker, from HRCA, from Castle Rock. Let's hear 30 seconds from each of you guys, or maybe a little bit more. Come on up. I hope all of you had an opportunity to go take a look at their booths and their amazing displays. They did a really good job, and we want to thank each of our municipal partners for their great work. Austin, the City of Lone Tree. Here you go, sir.
Yeah, I lost the nose goes on who had to talk, so it's good. No, really glad to see the big turnout of folks here today. Over in Lone Tree, we and our partners at South Suburban are working on a new regional park called High Note Regional Park. Everyone know where the Cabela's is on I-25? So just across I-25 from Cabela's, we were able to get 80 acres dedicated to build a really awesome regional park facility. So that's going to include 5 multi-purpose fields, along with a lot of space that we just don't have in that part of the county right now. So thinking about festival space for farmers markets, an outdoor amphitheater. We have a dog park that's also going to include a bark bar, so you'll be able to have a drink while you bring your dog out. And it'll also have a beer garden. And then we're also going to build a really awesome destination playground. So we're really excited about that project. Really hoping, to see, like Commissioner Layden mentioned, partnership with the county to make that possible. And we're hoping to break ground end of this year, open by 2027 on that first phase. So we're really excited about that project. And then see a lot of baseball folks in the audience as well. We weren't able to fit baseball in that park, but we know that that's still a gap, even with all these other new projects that are coming online. So we do have 25 additional acres for a ball field complex just on the north side of that park. So that'll be a future project for us as well.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Lone Tree. Round of applause for Lone Tree. Next. Thank you, Austin. Next up, we have Parker.
Town of Parker. I'm Brett Collins. I'm the park project manager. Thank you, commissioners, for letting us come to this town hall. I think this has been very helpful to get the word out. We have a 91-acre regional park that we're putting in, similar to what Austin just described. It's in the middle of the town of Parker. If you know where the radio tower is, it's just to the west and south of the radio tower, next to the Salisbury Equestrian Park. The park's going to feature 4 new baseball, softball fields to go along with the 4 fields we already have. So we'll have an 8-plex there connected by a walkway to the existing fields. I'm sure some of you have played at Salisbury before. We'll also have 2 multi-use fields, synthetic, and all these fields will be lighted. Playground, 17 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, an outdoor fitness area, a bike pump track, and mountain bike skills course. So we have a little bit of everything for everybody at the park, and especially the sports folks. So the first phase is going to be the 4 outdoor multi-use ball fields. That'll be our first phase. We're currently almost ready to break ground here in September. I think we'll probably put a shovel in the ground in September, and then it'll probably take 9 to 12 months to build that. And then the other phases will fall out as funding becomes available. Hopefully we'll be able to get some additional funding to build the rest of those phases over the next 5 years. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Big round of applause for Parker. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you. Monica Wasden, HRCA.
I'm the bad guy. We support fields. We just didn't support them at the Wildcat Regional Park. So we are very excited that Sterling Ranch stepped up to provide that opportunity for you to have the fields that you need. But in Highlands Ranch at the Wildcat Regional Park, we'll be putting in a 5K trail, a very passive recreational opportunity for when you take a break from your games to come out, walk the trail, see the wildlife, enjoy this beautiful property we have in Highlands Ranch. So we welcome you for that, and we appreciate the partnership we've had with the county and with Sterling Ranch.
Round of applause for Highlands Ranch.
Before Kevin with Gold Crown starts, we probably want a member of the cab, the Sterling Ranch cab, to come forward. Gary, you want to come on forward, and you can follow Kevin to tell us about Burns Park.
That's a good point. Kevin.
All right. Thank you all. A lot of kids here. How many of you all are familiar with Gold Crown or play Gold Crown and drive all the way up to Lakewood, right? So our vision for the Dawson Trails area south of Castle Rock at the new Sterling Ranch is to bring essentially what we do in Lakewood to Douglas County, bring it closer to everybody. With that, the facility also will come Gold Crown programs. For those who are familiar with us, we've been running programs in Colorado for over 40 years. We know one of the hardest things to do with a facility is to program it. And we're excited at the opportunity to bring that. We do need the help of these 3 gentlemen if we're going to be able to bring this to fruition. We think Zebulon's great for the national tournament circuit. We're really focused on the local. With that, our facility would be 6 indoor basketball courts, 12 overlapping volleyball courts, enrichment, STEM programming, as well as a health and wellness component that we partner with Children's Hospital on. So thank you all for inviting us here tonight. It's an exciting project. We hope that it goes well.
Thank you, Kevin. Anybody else here from Castle Rock?
From Brickyard.
Or from the Brickyard? Okay, that might be a meeting over at Town of Castle Rock, but thank you, Castle Rock. All right, Gary Debus from the cab.
Thank you, Commissioners. I represent the Community Authority Board in Sterling Ranch, or CAB. We are super excited about this project, and not only the project we brought back in the back, which is Burns Regional Park, and it's the first phase. We appreciate the support from the county commissioners to get that started. That's kind of a central linear park that runs north and south in Sterling Ranch, a great long distance, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think the most important part of this is all of you are here as well, and the people online and on phone. Douglas County is the best county in Colorado. This only makes it better. We're fully supportive, and we want to help all we can and be a great partner for you.
Thank you, Gary. And thank you to Sterling Ranch. Roger, how much time do we have? Commissioner Teal.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, all of our partners who came and just presented. Roger, turning back to you. Looks like we have an online question, sir.
We do. We have an online question from Patricia. She asks, what effect will this have on our property taxes?
Oh, that is such a good question.
Yeah.
So, we all, we all get our revenue as a county from your sales tax and from property taxes. So that mill that gets assessed, we're always trying to lower property taxes, but you all do such a great job. We try to do a good job as a community keeping you safe that your values keep going up. So, I mean, candidly, I'm not an economist, even though I studied that in college. Our anticipation is that your property values will absolutely go up and more people will want to move to Douglas County. This last year, we were the only county in the state other than Broomfield to see net migration in. So people are leaving Denver and other places. They do really want to be in Douglas County because you all are awesome. I mean, this is it's the healthiest, most prosperous county in the state. But I will tell you, as long as you have conservative commissioners sitting up here, we're going to fight to make sure your property taxes are low.
Yeah, and I'll just put a finer point on that. I think the question may have been, are we going to raise the property tax rate in order to pay for this? And that answer is absolutely not. Right now, we're looking at the financing. This will cost money. There is no doubt. But we do believe we're going to be able to do it mostly resourcing from the Parks, Trails, and Open Space sales tax increment that we renewed back in 2022. And then through local financing instruments in this area. And we talked a little earlier about the tax increment financing for a tax district in this area. But if you're in Parker, you're in Castle Rock, you're in Castle Pines, you're way down in Larkspur, you will not see an increase to your property taxes just because of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. And with that, we're right about at time, and I see a lot of hungry kids and parents in the gallery here. So why don't we go ahead and start with you with a wrap up?
Thank you, Abe. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you for your questions here in the room. Thank you for everyone who joined us on the phone and online with your questions there. We will, the commissioners and the panelists will, of course, be remaining after we sign off from the broadcast. But thank you all for coming. We really appreciate your input. We couldn't do this without all of you. Again, this is a very exciting project we wanted to bring forward after just about a year's worth of work that really started in this room last May when we were talking about what do we do with the fairgrounds, what do we do with youth sports. And we were very happy to bring this to you tonight. I'd like to pass it to Commissioner Van Winkle. Kevin?
Thank you, George. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate most of all the folks that came out tonight. And if you had a question or if you have a comment and you didn't get to say it or ask it tonight, please feel free to reach out to us at douglas.co.us is our website. And there's several places on there that you can find our email or even our phone number. And you can reach out to us directly, or even if you do douglascounty.co.us/townhall, there's a special form there where you can submit your feedback or comments or questions on there. So if we haven't heard you yet, I know we've had a couple of these meetings that have gotten us to this point with the public and with our partners. And it is still a work in progress here. If you look on the pictures that say this is an illustration concept and it's subject to change, that's because we're still hearing from all the folks here. I know that at one point it was like maybe there'll be polo fields and now there's not. So we do want to hear from you as we go forward. Thank you so much for giving me your time this evening. And with that, I'll look forward to hearing from you in the future. And I will pass it over to Chair of the Douglas County Commissioners, Abe Layden.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, George. It is truly such an honor to work with both of you. Thank you to all of our panelists. But I really want to thank the kids in this audience today because, first of all, Mark was right. You guys are the most well-behaved kids I've ever seen. Good job, parents. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. But, you know, I'm a fifth-generation Coloradan, and at heart, we're all Coloradans. And so making sure that this remains the healthiest county in the state of Colorado and the most prosperous, and that you have opportunities to really enjoy the outdoors and recreate. That is our goal, and it begins with you in mind. Thank you, and go have some pizza. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you on behalf of Douglas County.'t you for joining us tonight. If we didn't get to your question, please submit your question online at douglas.co.us/town hall. We hope you have an opportunity to join us on a future town hall, and we wish you a very good night.